This is the Garden of English. I'm Tim Freitas, and today for Quick Questions, we're going to talk about line of reasoning, well, rather quickly. This question came up a lot last night during the Mosaic Conference, so we're going to try to just give you a couple definitions for this so that you can work with that within your classroom. And I'm actually going to try to give you a quick little assignment that you can probably do with your kids that will help with this whole line of reasoning thing. But anyway, one of the things that I'd like to just point out is that line of reasoning, although not defined in the course and exam description for AP Lang, it is defined in the course exam description for AP Lit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just shrink up here a little bit. And this is the AP Lit course and exam description right here. And when this loads, there we go. We are on page 52 of it. And you will see that the definition is given here. It says a line of reasoning is a logical sequence of claims that work together to defend the overarching thesis statement. So it tells us what it is, but it doesn't tell us how we create one. And then it says a line of reasoning is communicated through commentary that explains the logical relationship between the overarching thesis statement and the claims and the evidence within the body of the essay. So now we're starting to see right over here how we begin to establish this line of reasoning. Okay, so we need to teach kids about their thesis and how their commentary links their thesis to the claims in the body paragraphs, and there needs to be a logical relationship between body paragraphs. So what do? Well, if you're like me, you'll actually take this definition here and try to make it a little bit more palatable for kids so that they have a little bit more, and not that these definitions are bad, they're great, by the way, but a little bit more instruction within the definition. So I'm going to give you right now my definition, and we'll make sure it gets typed out right here. But when I have kids take notes about the line of reasoning, because I want them to know how to put this in their paper or how to evaluate it in somebody else's paper, right, or essay or whatnot, I tell them that the line of reasoning is the interplay of how the thesis guides the essay and the topic sentences, and then we have how the transitions in topic sentences interrelate paragraphs, and then how all of our paragraphs in some way relate to the unifying claim or idea that's found in the thesis. So once again, my definition, and like I said, we're going to get that right down here. The interplay of how the thesis guides topic sentences, how transitions interrelate paragraphs, and how all of this in some way relates to a unifying idea. And that's what typically shows up in the commentary. So that's line of reasoning in a nutshell. If you want to know a little bit more, you can watch the video that I made with Brandon Abden and Lauren Peterson about this. It's found here. But one last thing that I'd like to point out is that if you're looking for a quick activity to help kids with this, I want to encourage you to read the essay from Frederick Douglass's narrative called Learning to Read and Write. And the reason why is because his final claim at the end of that is, and something along the lines of, and after all of, what happened, I finally learned to read and write. And now, first of all, that is an incredible use of understatement because he learned a lot more about reading and writing. So you can talk about the complexity of the argument and understatement there. But what you can do is you can look at each section of the essay and ask kids, okay, here he's talking about his mistress and how she was teaching him, and now all of a sudden she's not. What does that have to do with his reading and writing? Because reading and writing is learning to read and write is what that piece is about on the surface. So you can go through each section and say, okay, how does this relate to reading and writing and learning how to do it for Frederick Douglass? How does this? And then they can say, all right, so although it seemed as though this paragraph was only telling a story about how the mistress stopped teaching him all of a sudden, well, how does that particular moment talk about learning to read and write? When he talks about, negotiating with local kids for bread and for food and whatnot, just quick lessons about reading and writing, how does that relate to him learning about how to read and write? And like I said, clearly he learns way more about life than just reading and writing throughout this piece. That's a remarkable use of understatement. But my point is that if you take essays into sections and you can get the whole claim of the essay, you can ask kids, okay, how does this section relate to that claim? How does this section relate to that claim? And you can create a quick little organizer that says, okay, section whatever relates to the claim of blank because, and then they can reason that out, and you can trace that throughout the whole essay, whether or not, in this piece by Frederick Douglass, clearly his claim is at the very end, so it's inductive. But if you have a deductive piece with a claim at the beginning, you can do the same thing. If this is our overarching claim, okay, how does this section here relate to that overarching claim? And you can do it deductively as well. So quick question for today, line of reasoning, definitions from the CED, my definition as well. Hopefully that helped. And if you want to know more, check out that video. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. If it was helpful, please consider supporting the GOE in other ways. But as always, these videos are free, and we'll keep these quick questions coming as they arise. Have a great one.